a turning point came for me when I realised that while we have all this educational stuff here, in the background we have the bureaucracy. And having worked in the big bureaucracy, the Australian Public Service for 20 years, suddenly it clicked and I understood exactly what happened. And things started going well for me. I'm not saying I manipulated that, but I understood how things work. It's interesting that when it comes to discrimination here at this university, I've had mixed sort of results. Most of the time, nothing is an issue for me as a trans woman. But I had some weird encounters at times. In the first year I encountered an overseas Filipino student, and she wanted to know why wasn't I wearing high heels? I looked at her, you know, because I like to wear flatties, they're comfortable and everything. I looked at her and she was wearing sneakers and saying, well, why the hell aren't you? And it was just really strange. I guess it's the culture back in the Philippines, but it may be that she's used to the Filipino equivalent of drag queens, perhaps, and peg me is one. But I'm not a drag queen, I'm a trans woman. And there is a difference. Later on, things got a little bit more serious. In 1999, I started having problems with a technical officer. I was doing a video block in my bachelor's. I wanted to make interesting animations and so forth. And there was a probationary technical officer there who was very uneven in how he treated students. I found out I was not the only one, but I was consistently discriminated against. I was called he and sir regularly by this person. They would give preference to other people when booking the editing room. When I had 2 hours booked to work on things because I couldn't work on at night, I would be constantly interrupted by this person saying, here's young such and such, and they need to transfer this tape, and they didn't book, but can they come in and do it now? That year I started having panic attacks and anxiety disorders, which was particularly disturbing for me because I have a teenage history of epilepsy. What scared the living shit out of me was when I started getting anxiety attacks and auras would precede it, because for me that meant the onset of a seizure. As a result, I ended up on disability. There are a few other issues I had, but you know, it's really dramatic. For someone who's worked in social security for at least 11 years, I really didn't want to go on disability. But I did. And in a way it changed things because I had one less thing to worry about and I could focus on my studies again. Not only that, I complained. I put in a grievance about this technical officer, and it turned out I wasn't the only one. There were at least 6 grievances on them, and they were probationary. And next semester rolled around, and all of a sudden this person came up saying, please, miss, can I do something for you? Can I do this? Can I book this room? Can I do that? And I'm standing there going, oh yes. And they didn't last, they were gone within 6 months. And so, in some ways, I guess, the attitudes of this university, it's like in the community, they're mixed because people are different, and people who come into the university with their students, with their staff, or with their supporting technicians or whatever, they bring their own attitudes in here. And I think the big thing about university, the big thing that marks this is different from a technical college, and I did 2 years in a library course, is the fact that you learn how to think here. Or if you don't learn how to think, you watch other people think. You're exposed to new ideas, you're exposed to possibilities here. You might learn something, you might learn it by rote at a technical college, but at a university you experience it. And I think you get challenged at if you don't get challenged at a university, then what the hell are you doing wrong? So to me, I think, considering I'm now in my master's, I've embraced university life. I love academic life because for me it still has that potential that I can be appreciated for what I achieve. And I have to tell you that I've had so much good feedback on my trans tarot deck this year. and it's just, I know it's silly, but in some ways most of it art I do is therapy. It's therapy for myself. And the best art that I do tackles the really hard shit that I have to deal with. And I put that in that deck. The deck on display downstairs, that was for my honours. And at the end of that, I felt that I'd finished my transition, because I had reviewed the different stages that I'd gone through. And since it's been on display both at Queer Collaborations this year and downstairs, it's clear to me that I must have done something right, because I think I'm reaching people, I'm getting feedback, and people seem to understand. And as an artist, I don't think you can ask for a better response. I mean, it's not how much money you make on art, right? It's about reaching other people. So hopefully my master's project, which is now 2 graphic novels, one called Real Life Trips, about various trips I've done, including to a terrible science fiction convention. When I went to Sydney with my girlfriend when she had her surgery, and when I went over to Phuket to have my surgery, and including the trip that I had in that madhouse hostel, that's going in 1 graphic novel. I'm not putting my whole life in, because I think it'd be absolutely boring and tedious. But I've had selected periods of strangeness and madness that, looking back, are fabulous. I'm glad that I had them, because it's clarified my life. My second graphic novel will be entitled Gender Transition for Innocence. And it's not going to be a how-to manual, but it's going to academically approach what the issues are. I've read various tomes by academics, and they go like, transsexuality is this and blah blah blah, and this is how you clinically deal with it. But none of them, or very few of them, seem to get written by the people who undergo it, and none of them bring up the issues that you really wish someone had told you about before you started. Like, so that's what I'm attempting to do. Now, I don't know whether I'm going to succeed, but you never do when you do things like this. And I'm doing it part-time, so I have another 3 years to work on this. I think I've got the time to get it right. I have to be focused, and that's the beauty of academic life, because if I'm not focused doing this, if you're not focused on a master's, you're never going to make it, right? And I expect it's doubly so on a PhD. Have I got ambitions or what? But this is the thing I think that Newcastle University has done for me, and being a student here. Even with the discriminations I've had, I've met others in all sexualities, all types of genders. I can tell you a few stories about Stephen Carey. But for me, it's community. And community is really important to me. And it's about standing up, saying what or who you are, or what you aspire to be, and being honest about it. And maybe you'll get an acknowledgement, maybe you won't. But the process of doing that is really important. And Newcastle University helps me do that. It enables me to do that. So I'm really pleased to be here. Thank you.